Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Chiefscape, and welcome to the episode of We on the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we'll discuss playing a Slave Guild Outcast gang for our narrative campaign, Necromunda Monopoly. We'll discuss what a narrative campaign is, the reasons for playing a narrative campaign, and provide a 2,400 credit starting roster for your first narrative campaign of Necromunda Monopoly. And as always, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So the first question that you might want to know is, what is Necromunda Monopoly? Necromunda Monopoly is actually a homebrew campaign that I developed for my own campaigns of Necromunda. I've actually made several campaign rules of my own that I've done from homebrewing, and I've done it with my friends in my gaming group, and a lot of people showed a lot of interest on it on YouTube, so I've published those rules on my blogger.com site. So I've done exactly the same thing with Necromunda Monopoly. The idea is supposed to be that, narratively speaking, a brand new undiscovered part of the Underhive has been found, so all 8 merchant guilds are sending their emissaries down to this area to lay claim to territories, economic resources, so that way they can exploit the region for both pride, power, as well as profit, so that way they can actually maximize their profitability in the Underhive. And the idea is supposed to be that it kind of operates a little bit like the games of Monopoly, but with Necromunda spin on it. In fact, if you want to know more about that campaign, I do have the video link down below in my description box. I also have my blogger.com site as well, so if you want to see those rules, you can check those out for yourself. Now, like I said before, because these will be only using merchant guild gangs only will be participating in this campaign, I decided to go a little bit more of a narrative build with all the different rosters. The idea is supposed to be with a narrative build. I've basically broken a lot of rules for list building rules. I did things like use different types of weapons, equipment, dramatis personae for characters, that kind of thing. And we're also using Aranthian Secession narrative list building rules for this. So we have 2,400 credits to build your roster. You have 2,000 points to actually build your roster, with another 400 points on top of that for vehicles and mounted fighters, and you also double number of champions, so long as the same equivalent amount of gang fighters in your gang to balance that out. Now, once again, I will warn you guys, these rules are totally unofficial in every way, shape, and form, so they're not related to GW or anything official at all, so please do not take these lists to any type of official tournaments or events like that, because you will be kicked out. But if you're looking for a new way to spice up your games of Necromunda and to fight a new campaign with some new interesting gangs, then this is the video for you. So that being said, let's talk about why you want to play the Slave Guild in Necromunda Monopoly. So the Slaver Guild, why would you want to play these guys? Because close quarters battle is for the GOATs, the greatest of all times. Plus the miniatures from Forge World are actually quite beautiful as well. Plus you don't want a leader that kind of hangs back and stays away from the action. You want a fighter that's up there in the midst of it, up in the press, smashing people in the face with a chain axe. And because skills matter to you, and with this build you'll be able to give your champions additional skills that they can use in their games of Necromunda as well. So now that we're done talking about why you want to play the Slave Guild, let's go and talk about exactly what narrative list building is in the first place. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about what is a narrative roster. A narrative roster is an idea I've been cooking up for a while, where it's basically a new way of playing. Necromunda is a wonderful game with all kinds of interesting stuff, with dramatis personae and special characters and skills, weapons and equipment, and all kinds of different things that makes this game such a fantastic skirmish game to play. The campaign setting is literally limitless, and the different opportunities that you can have to play. So my idea was, what if you took some of those narrative aspects of the Necromunda lore and applied them to list building for our gangs? Now, in a narrative list, you'll be using dramatis personae as leaders as well as champions in your gangs, so long as it kind of fits with the overall narrative of what your gang is. Same thing with having access to certain skills, weapons, and war gear that may not normally be allowed in your gang as well, and the reason why we're doing that to add to that narrative flavor. This also applies to brutes, hangers, as well as hired guns, which are not normally allowed in a starting roster. So that's what the idea of this whole narrative roster is. We're taking the narrative elements of the Necromunda setting with a specific gang and applying it to that starting roster. Now, the whole reason why you might want to play a narrative gang is because it's a fun new way to spice up playing Necromunda. It could also be the basis of a brand new narrative campaign. A narrative campaign is this idea I've been cooking up in my head about actually having a campaign setting where there's an actual storyline for each of the different gangs. The gangs are out to seek certain kind of objectives in this campaign setting, and that's pretty much how it would work in that campaign setting. The gangs that achieve their objectives, narratively speaking, are the ones that end up winning the campaign. And the idea was a nice little way to explore some of the lore and the endless fluff that is usually associated with Necromunda. Like I said before, Necromunda has a very rich and in-depth campaign setting with different characters, houses, guilds, criminal organizations, different levels and different factions all vying for control of this crazy planet. So I thought it would be a nice, really a cool idea in order to create those kind of campaigns around those little pieces of lore and have games to reflect that and to do this. The idea of a narrative campaign as well as a narrative roster is that you kind of focus more on fluff and lore rather than competitive play, and I'm going to try to design the list around that so that way your starting rosters does reflect that for the specific game that you're playing. And obviously, the biggest question should be asked, why should you play in every game? And my only answer is with another question, why not? There's a lot of cool things you can do in Necromunda and a lot of cool topics you can explore as well. This is a good way for beginners to learn how to play a game as well, and it could also be great for experienced players too, just in case you're looking for some new and interesting way to do this. Not only that, it could also be fun being an arbitrator of a narrative campaign because you got to create a narrative story, give different objectives for your gangs to try to accomplish, and earn points that way. It's also really fun for players to kind of build in backstory of why their gang is operating the way it is and how it's supposed to operate in the campaign setting, and it's a really cool idea as well. And I suggest giving it a try. I mean, why not? You could always see something new with this game system, and that's the wonderful thing about Necromunda. There's always new and cool ways of actually playing this game as well. I will give you a warning, however, no way in shape and form should you be using a narrative list like this if your arbitrator doesn't allow it for your campaign, just because I'm not following some of the official rules for the gang rule building rules that come with the game. And at the same time, these are also not really good for tournament play, but just keep that in mind as we go forward. So let's go ahead and talk about the special rules associated with Mercator, Sanguis, Slaver, Entourage. And just like with any other different guild gangs I do have in this campaign, they have very specific special rules assigned to them. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly what that is for your campaign. So first of all, let's talk about Slaver Guild equipment list. You will be able to have access to House Goliath equipment lists for both fighters as well as vehicles, and the reason why is because, one, the narrative nature of the gang with brutish, muscle-bound fighters kind of matches exactly the same kind of aesthetic that the House Goliath has as well. The only exception to the equipment from the and weapons that you get from House Goliath will be exotic beasts. You're not allowed to have those, and the reason why is because, you know, the Slave Guild does maintain a close reliance with House Goliath, so they will be able to get equipment, but not so much when it comes to exotic beasts. That's more house specific rather than anything specific to the Slaver Guild. Another rule, of course, is weapon trading. Now, traditionally speaking, this is an ability that you get from making an alliance with the Slaver Guild, but I've actually modified it slightly so that way you can use this for your gang. And basically what it states is that in the pre-battle sequence, you can choose one of your gang's champions or even your gang leader, provided the fighter is chosen available for the upcoming battle, as a candidate for extra training. For the duration of the battle, that chosen fighter counts as having one extra skill chosen by you, the controlling player, from your primary skill list. So that way you can always add additional skills to your champions and to your leader if you want to, which is great in case you run into a situation where you have to worry about having an additional skill set you want to use for that ability. So for example, let's say you want to have another skill but you don't have enough points to get it yet, you can use this temporarily until you get enough experience points to get that specific skill that you want to, and because of that, having that skill access for all of your champions leader is invaluable in the battlefield. And another special rule is a promising fighter, which again, this usually is a guild alliance benefit, but we're going to modify this a little bit for the gang. It reads, during the wrap-up step of the post-battle sequence, roll a d6 for one randomly determined ganger or juvie in the game that took an enemy fighter out of action with either a close combat attack or a coup de grace. On a 6, the chain lord rewards that fighter with their entertaining display of fighting prowess. The game immediately earns d3 times 10 credits to his stash. On any other result, nothing happens. So this would be a nice way for you to actually build up some more credits for your gang, especially if you take enemies out of action in close combat as well as coup de grace. So it's going to motivate you to be aggressive, to close them with your enemies, and to take them out, so that way you can generate additional credits for yourself. So now that we're done talking about the gang special rule, let's talk about the starting roster. So this is the Slave Guild starting roster for Necromunda Monopoly. It's rated at 2,400 credits, and this is the Mercator, Sanguis, Slaver, Entourage. So let's talk about the individual fighters that'll make up your gang. Up first, we have the Chain Lord himself. He's going to cost 280 credits. He's going to be an outcast leader. We're giving him the Brawler archetype because it just kind of matches narratively with his character background. He's going to be equipped with light carabus armor for 4-up armor save. We're giving this guy a shock whip as well as a chain axe. That way he gets additional attack in close combat when he charges. The shock whip also gives you a lovely versatile range attack with that, and a chain axe is no joke either. He automatically comes with a bio booster so that way you can reroll injury dice, a stim slug stash just in case you want to make this guy faster, stronger, and tougher. He automatically comes with a hurl skill, which is great because then you can throw guys around off of buildings and off of vehicles, and he also has the overseer skill automatically as well, which is great because that way you can do give people double activations. Now, unlike other guild leaders, you will not need to really use the overseer ability for your chain lord because you really want this guy to be fighting, so you don't want to use up all of his actions to make overseer on somebody, but in case you need to for XYZ reasons, you have that ability for you. Now, the skill that we're going to give this guy for his brawler archetype, we're giving him Nerves of Steel, and the reason why is because he's going to be shot at quite a bit by your opponent because this guy's a close combat beast, so him passing a cool test to escape pinning is going to be very, very important for you. So that at least that way you can still try to strike at people with your shock if you're within versatile range. After that, we can talk about your champions. One of them is the Shackleman, which has cost 215 credits. This guy's also got the Brawler archetype as well. He's got an armor undersuit and flak armor, giving him a 5-up armor save. He automatically comes with the Harpoon Launcher, which is a great weapon by itself, as well as a Shock Stay, which is another versatile attack weapon with a shock trait attached to it. He's also got a Cult icon, so that way he has group or large activations, and he automatically comes with the Disarm skill, which is great because you can take away your enemy's primary weapons in close combat. Now, we're going to give this guy the Bull Charge ability as well, so that way he gets +1 strength to his attacks, because he's kind of lackluster in terms of his strength characteristic. But with that Bull Charge, though, that'll help balance it out, so that way the guy can get into clinch, fight people in close combat, shoot him with his Harpoon Launcher at that distance. The guy's going to be good at all distances. Then we're going to also use Attillus the Axe. Attillus the Axe costs you 275 credits. This guy is a Dramatis Personae Outcast champion, and this guy is a bounty hunter that is unique to House Goliath. But because House Goliath as well as the Slave Guild are kind of close, and at the same time because Attillus the Axe is a pit fighter, he actually makes a perfect gladiatorial contestant for the Slaver Guild. We're going to give this guy the Brawler archetype as well, because it just matches with his overall narrative. He's got Furnace Plates for that 5-up armor save when he gets attacked from the front, 6-up armor save from everywhere else. He's got the God Cleaver, which is that huge chain axe weapon that he uses on his arm to slice up people. He also comes with Stub Gun, so that way he's a backup weapon. He's got Bull Charge, that way he gets that +1 additional strength to his attacks. He's also got the Iron Man as well as Unleash the Beast in order to kind of help him out with close combat situations, pushing people away as well as healing himself up. He's also got giving him the Bulging Biceps ability as well with his Brawler archetype, and the reason why is because unfortunately, the God Cleaver has the Unwieldy trait, which is kind of weird because it's attached to his arm, so I'm not sure how an arm-based weapon would be unwieldy, but whatever the case may be, we gave him that so that way he can use 2 weapons in close combat if he wants to, and he's also got the Undefeated special rule attached to him as well, which means the first time he goes out of action, he can ignore it, which makes this guy even deadlier in close combat. This guy's going to be a wrecking ball for your gang. Up next, we have 2 more Outcast champions. Outcast champion number 1 is going to cost you 230 credits. This guy's got the Gunslinger archetype. He's got an armored undersuit as well as Furnace Plates for that 4-up armor save if he gets attacked from the front, 5-up armor save from everywhere else. He's also got a bat web gun as well. The reason why I give him the web gun is that way he can capture people, because that's what slavers do. They capture people to take with them back to the fighting pits. He's also got a Spudjacker as a backup weapon, which is great because it's got knockback. He's also got the hoop shooting skill as well, so that way you can take a double action to move up forward and then shoot your weapon with the -1 hit penalty. But because he's using a web gun, it doesn't matter though, because it automatically hits, so no harm, no foul there. Outcast champion number 2 is going to cost you 220 credits. This guy's also got the Gunslinger archetype as well. He's got armored undersuit as well as Furnace Plates, so he's got that 4-up armor save when he's attacked from the front and 5-up armor save everywhere else. We're also going to equip this guy with a Storm Welder, which is a nice reckless trait weapon that has a huge amount of firepower coming out the front end of it thing using shock attack, which is going to make it really brutal. He's also got a Brute Cleaver for close combat attacks as well as a Bio Booster. And the reason why we're giving him a Bio Booster, just in case he gets injured by the Storm Welder, we can re-roll that result, and he's also got the Fast Shot ability so that we can fire that Storm Welder twice, which is going to make it really awesome as well. So let's talk about your gang fighters. You're going to have 2 pit fighters in this gang. Pit fighter number 1 and 2, they both cost 125 credits apiece. Both have flak armor. Both are equipped with chain glaive, so they got that 2-inch versatile attack with that powerful close combat weapon. They also have stim slug stashes as well to make them faster, stronger, and tougher, but running the risk of actually him going out of action. At the same time, they have the Rain of Blow skill, so even if they don't charge in close combat, with the versatile trait in their chain glaives, they can still reach their opponents and still hit them, as we use them as simple actions. So very deadly combination on those guys. Then you have Outcast Hive Scum number 1. This guy's going to cost you 135 credits. He's got Furnace Plates as well as a Bolt Gun. He's also got a Stub Gun with Dum Dum Rounds as well as Photo Goggles. This guy's going to be your more long-range shooter at medium to long ranges with that Bolt Gun. He's got the Stub Gun for a backup weapon as well as for close combat, and the Photo Goggles to see in all visibility conditions. After they have Outcast Hive Scum number 2 is going to cost you 130 credits. This fighter's also got Furnace Plates. He's also packing a Combat Shock with Salvo and Shredder rounds, so that way you can either use template attacks or rapid fire shotgun attacks. He's got a Stub Gun for a backup weapon as well as for close combat, and he's also packing Frag Grenades, so that way you can throw that around and blow people up. So this guy will be taking people out at medium to close range, and he's a good combat assault person. Up next, you have Hive Scum number 3. This guy's going to cost you 115 credits. This guy's got Furnace Plates as well as a Stub Cannon with a Stub Gun and Dum Dum Rounds as a back weapon. He's also got Frag Grenades as well because Frag Grenades are great. That Stub Cannon is also really powerful at Strength 5. It's going to be useful for medium to close range as well. He's also got that Stub Gun for close combat and also as a backup weapon as well, because this gang's all about closing the distance with your enemy. And then finally, you also have a Road Doc, which is going to cost you 50 credits with Last Pistol, Medicae, Kit, and Medicae. Just in case any one of your fighters rolls up a critical injury out on the battlefield, they have the Road Doc that can help out your gangs in a medical escort mission. And because you'll be finding out in the Ashways, you have 2 Scum Racers for this game. Scum Racer number 1 is going to cost 195 credits. He's going to be driving a Goliath Mauler because that's just a vehicle that's awesome, and I can see that being used for a pit slave gang. It's got twin-linked grenade launchers with frag and crack grenades that we can lay down a lot of suppressive fire with those weapons and cause all kind of problems for enemies as well. At the same time, Scum Racer number 2 is going to cost you 315 credits. This character is driving a custom medium vehicle. It's got a harpoon launcher on it because that would make sense because you're trying to capture people. You also got a transport bed to transport your victims as well as the rest of your gang. It's got a ram because you're going to be aggressive, tire claws for better handling for +1 for handling characteristics, as well as nitro burners that we get +1 inch added to your movement allowance for your vehicle. And that pretty much makes up your roster for the Slaver Entourage delegation for Necromunda Monopoly. So in conclusion, building a narrative list is a fun and unique idea to try out new lists, different dramatis personae that you might not usually have access to, as well as setting up new challenges for yourself, as well as for your campaign as well. And like I said before in the introduction, in no way is this official at all, so I wouldn't recommend you taking these to any kind of official tournaments or any organized tournament play as well. Same thing with your arbitrator. Also double check with your arbitrator, see if they'd be okay with you actually making a gang list like this. And ask your arbitrator if you would like to do a narrative style campaign. It could be something really cool. It could be something really cool to try out within your gaming groups and to try out new campaigns, so give it a try. And if you do decide to play this way, please let me know down the comments box down below. I'd love to hear some of the comments and feedback you guys have about using the different lists I create, as well as some future other campaign ideas that I have coming down the pike. And of course, I'll bring up more videos about this topic as time goes on. And as always, recommendations for any narrative list will be welcomed. I'm actually planning on making a narrative list for pretty much every single faction in Necromunda, so I do have my work cut out for me, and I'll be uploading those videos on a regular basis, so keep an eye out for that to make sure you catch it to learn the newest and latest narrative lists for whatever particular faction you would like to play. So that's good for this week, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this video, guys. We will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.